Okay, so we are here, pre-recorded, not live, because we had some technical issues. Apologies for that. With Diane. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's nice to
Yeah,
meet you.
lovely to meet you as well. I was really excited to get you on this because I see what everyone's doing in the community, right? And when I saw you say ring the bell, 1,000 people signed up, I was like, whoa, right? So before we yeah, like the first question I would love to ask is tell people, what are you doing? Who are you serving? Who is your dream customer? And what problem are you solving for them?
Yeah, so who I'm serving, and I loved this exercise, is I am serving the parents and children who are looking for ways to connect creatively right now. And what I found was my Instagram page, I do all of these doodle lessons, and parents and teachers were like, where can I send my kids for more videos? Like, they want to consume my videos rapidly. And there's only so many I can post a day on Instagram before I look obnoxious of like, here's 10 more doodle videos. And I don't like putting them on YouTube because I don't want them bombarded with ads and things like that. So during this time of COVID-19, my page has blown up. I've had over 10,000 people sign up to my email list in the last 4 weeks. And so there's a real need. And so I was looking for, where can I put them that's a platform that's easy for them to see it and to be able to consume the material. So I went through the challenge, and I really nailed down that my person is Mandy, right? She's a mom, she's probably got 2 kids, and she's looking for a way to connect with her children. And I found that that was the message that I was getting in my inbox. So how do I rapidly create something for them? And that's why I found your program. And at one point you talk about artists, and I was like, I'm in. So that's kind of what I did.
That's amazing. And can you talk a little bit about the results that you've had or where you're at in the process?
Yeah, so where I am in the process is I'm doing, so first of all, let me just explain. I wake up every morning at 5:30 to do my homework. I do it in the morning, the 30-day challenge, and I'm pacing it, but I do it before my kids wake up. I do it before my other work starts because it's a priority to me. And so I'm setting that time to do that work. And I sit there with a notebook and I write down everything. And then I also take it into a Google Doc, and I've built like my own basically branding document of all the assignments so that it's easy for me to pull off little marketing materials. So where I am is, I think I'm on like day 28 or 29, so I'm almost done with the 30 days. I have built out the beginnings of the app. I've gone in, I've done my descriptions, I've gone in and done all my little photos and my little icons and all that, and I've started to create the first videos. Now where I am with my students and who I've been talking to is I've been telling them, y'all, I'm making an app. Like, this is what you guys have been asking for. And they're going bananas. They're like, oh my gosh, an app where we can come, where we can feel like Diane Bleck is in our living room with our family drawing with us. So they're going excited. So I've been telling them, do you want to be a founding member? Do you want to help me build this? And then what I'm doing is I'm doing 4 weeks with them every Friday in May, where I'm just going to talk them through what is in the app, what do they think about the videos in it? And I'm just basically trying to get massive excitement and eyes around it so that they then become my marketing and they help spread it even larger. Because my hope is that this is for thousands and thousands of people. I'm doing it differently. I'm doing it for free because it's a way to serve my community and then be able to upsell them later into my other courses that I have, or to my virtual workshops or other things like that. So it's a little different in how I'm trying to serve my audience, but I think it still fits an amazing need.
Awesome. You know what I was most intrigued by when I saw what you were sharing in the community, Diane, is that you are really taking the concepts of the challenge and you are digging to the fundamental principle of what it is that I'm sharing, and then you're applying that to you. And so, as you say, you're following a different launch strategy. It's a free app. It's high volume. You talked about 1,000 people signed up for the app already, but it's not even launched yet. And so how is it that you, and also, by the way, we talk a lot about fitness in the app, in the training, right? Because the original training is when we were just targeting fitness people, and we're updating it to give more examples of different niches like art. But so what I'm really interested for you to share with me and with people watching is, how have you been able to take something that isn't like word for word exactly what you need, but actually still create massive impact?
Well, first of all, again, I love the activities because they are very clear in who is your person, what is the pain, what is their like rally. Like all my friends, my big rally is like Doodle Friends Unite, and they're all like, yes, Doodle Friends Unite, like we're coming to the app. Like, and again, like this is a way to then build book tours or sell books, or like, do you know what I mean? It's like building that massive audience, but like each of the lessons are designed in such a way that I do the homework. I sit there and I literally think it through. Like, again, I know my girl is Mandy. And then what's so funny is I hosted a call and literally she showed up, this woman named Mandy. She had 2 kids. And I was like, and I told her, I said, you are who I'm looking for my app. Like I literally just wrote about you. And that's the thing, is I'm telling my people the full story. I'm telling them like, I'm trying to create this for you. And I'm basically like sharing with them all of my homework assignments. So like our first call next Friday, I'm going to walk them through basically my little document that I told you I made. I'm going to tell them, here it is. Here's who I'm looking for. Here's what I hope to serve. Here's the messages that I'm trying to get to. Here's like, I'm bringing them into the story. And then the next time I meet with them, I'm going to say, here's how the app's coming together. And so it's not like, hey, tell me what you want in an app, because that's not possible. I don't have the budget to say, tell me what kind of app you want. So I'm looking at what you have designed. I'm looking at what's possible. And here's what's so valuable. And my one-on-one with Georgia was so helpful, is the pause button is so valuable that isn't available in a really easy way in other formats for people to be able to pause, draw along with me, and then pause again. So the way that I've designed it is it'll play a video, then right underneath it, let me see if I have one right here. Yes. Right underneath the video is like a little how-to card so that they can see what I'm drawing. And then underneath that is download the PDF of this. So I envision, and it's already happening, I envision teachers and libraries having little cards and being able to pull out my app and have Diane Bleck DoodleTV time and be drawing. So like I'm able to build basically like my own television network on your platform. It's crazy. So again, I just need to know what the tool does, and then I'll figure out how to make it work for my audience. So I think it's just a matter of like, my audience is who's at the core of it. So I just need to understand your lessons and then think, how does this serve my audience?
That is fantastic. Diane, before we move on, because I have a million questions I want to ask, and I know the community will as well. And even though we're not live, people are even sending in questions, so I can get to the expert questions as well. But first of all, before we move on, I want to make sure that everyone watching this takes the lessons, okay? And I've already taken 3 huge lessons from what Diane has said. Number 1, no excuses. Get up at 5:30 if you have to. Do it when you don't have distractions. Do your homework. Number 2, Diane was just saying how, Diane, you're sharing like the whole journey with people, right? It's transparency, it's authenticity. It's what I talk about in the webinar when people are worried about getting on camera. And I try and say like, just be yourself, and it's already, you're way ahead of most, because most people are not putting their true self online, right? So that's a huge thing. And then the third thing is what you just said is phenomenal, which is like, how does this work for me? Figure out what it can do, and then figure out how does this work for me? And yeah, so as you go through the training, guys, if you see it like an example and it doesn't exactly fit with what you're doing, then just ask yourself that question: how does this apply to me? Because the fundamental principle underneath is going to be relevant, even if the example on top isn't. So thank you, Diane. I'm learning a ton. I'm sure that everyone who's going to watch will as well.
Even with the workout stuff, like I'm looking at what you're doing, like the 20-second playback, right? Or the PDF, like I'm looking at, like even with all my stuff, I could teach you how to draw everything under the moon right now, but I have to break it into, okay, we're going to start with flowers. We're going to start with cars and trucks. We're going to start with people. Like looking at even the 6-week challenge and like the nutrition guide, I made the DoodleTV guide, right? So it's its own version of the nutrition guide. But what's different about it, it says get your markers, get your 4x6 index cards, put them in a travel bag so that your app and your art materials can go anywhere, and you can create a creative center in your home anywhere you want at any time. So that's the first thing in the app, is tips to get started, and download the DoodleTV guide. And it's just a visual of all that stuff. And it has my avatar right there in it, and all the pictures of them sitting around the kitchen table drawing, sitting in their living room drawing. And I went to Canva, like you told us, and I found the pictures and I found the images. So it's really like, Passion Fighters is the right thing. Like, this is passion. Like, I am waking up every morning doing this.
That's so awesome. Thanks, Diane. One of the things that I want to touch on, because I think if people are listening to your amazing success and they're thinking, okay, can I replicate this success? I think one thing that's really important to understand is resources that you have, because we all have different resources, and depending on the resources we have, we should do different things, right? Richard Branson should start an airline because he had the resources to do so. Other people shouldn't, right? So what I want to know about is not the monetary resources, but your following and your audience. Can you talk a bit about what you have there, and how it's impacted your launch?
Yeah, so I have been teaching on Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram for years. I've turned on that camera live like 400 times a year for years. And the thing is that I just show up and I share whatever's on my heart, right? And I'm just telling stories. But then and that gets me followings, right? And then I see, where are people excited? And I just kind of keep following that, because it's very easy to say, I'm an expert in this and I only want to teach this. But that's not the way to grow an audience. You have to see, like, what is it that excites them, and follow them, because they'll help you know where to go. And so whenever I saw Instagram literally blow up in the last 4 weeks because of COVID-19, I was like, how do I keep serving this audience? And so I just opened up a Zoom call, and I had people who were following me. So I go live every morning at 9:30 on Instagram TV. It's just like, whether I like it or not, I go live every morning. And it's like my own little television show. But I invited everyone into a Zoom call so I can meet them. So like the people that I see, like Nazarene, I want to meet you, Yoga Mom too, I want to meet you. And like, I pulled them into a Zoom, and it was like the biggest smiles. It was like a wedding day smile. Like, everyone was so excited to see each other. And I was like, how do I keep going into this feel-good space, right? And Nazarene is 8 years old, and she's from Iran. And I tried to call on her and ask her a question, and she said, I'm out of English. Like, I know how to say hi and I love you, Diane. Like, that's it. And I was like, how do I serve her? And that's why the app is free. How do I serve her? Because there's a need there. And the need is, children are looking for ways to be creative, and parents are looking for ways to inspire their child. And the children are waking up every day to be with me. Like, one child was up at 2 a.m. so she could just meet me live on Zoom. Again, I don't want to put a $2.99 price in front of that relationship, because that's transformation right there. And I don't know where that child's going to go, but my target isn't the child. My target is the mom. Because in the Doodle Institute, I transform that mom who's incubating, who's kind of like drawing with her kid, but now she knows how to draw on her iPad. Now she can make her own coloring book. Now she can make her own products on Society6. Now she can go become a visual facilitator, which is what I do. Now she can go make $2,500 a day drawing for corporations. So I'm going to get her over time. But I want to be in her home first for like a couple of years. And I want to help her transition whenever those little ones are ready to go to school and she's ready to go back to work. She has amazing skills that she can bring. So it's kind of like really understanding who my lifer is and how do I serve her. And right now, serving her is loving on her kids.
Yeah. So again, before we move on, I want to draw out the lessons in what you just said there. No, there's two. The first one, for me, I'm sure there's actually more, but there's two I want to talk about. First of all, it's follow the energy. And again, it's the whole reason that we teach the Expert Unleashed Challenge in the order we do, where you first define your customer, then you define your offer, then you actually sell. And in Diane's case, she's done it differently because we'll talk, that's the second lesson. You're doing a different strategy, which is great, but it's just different. So in the third week, you sell. And then in the fourth week, then you build. Why? Because then you have people who are telling you what their problems are. They're asking you their questions, and you can follow their energy. You're going to do the first week of content, and they're going to absolutely love this thing that you never even thought was even a thing. And then you're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. We need to do more of that. So following the energy instead of like building this thing in isolation and then putting it out to the world. That's the biggest reason why perfectionism is the killer of progress. It's not, for me, it's not anything other than if you do what you think is perfect, it will never actually solve a problem out in the world. You have to, like, as you say, Diane, put yourself on live 400 times a year, right? It's a lot of work that goes into building an audience and making that connection. The second thing, I think this is super important. I'm literally pulling up my slides for the Expert Unleashed Challenge as we speak, because the second thing is that what you're talking about with this, you have this child who's going to be a free user of your app, and then you get the mum who gradually moves through the process. This is right here. It's my slide. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And if anyone is a massive passion fighter geek, then they're going to know exactly what I'm about to show, which is the yellow brick road, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that you get over time more value, you give more value, and you charge a higher price. And when we talk, if I go into present mode here, then you'll see like how it pops up. So for a dentist, the cheapest thing they do is like a teeth cleaning. It's maybe cheap or free, and then it's like whitening, retainer, and cosmetic. And gradually they move through the process, like Diane just said. For fitness, people give away free content, then they might have an app, then they might have supplements, then they might have coaching. And the whole point is that it's called the yellow brick road because in the end, that's the destination, right? So in Diane's case, it's being a visual facilitator. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Visual facilitator for where people can earn $2,500 a day. And the first step is that their kid is watching the free content in Diane's app. So while you guys might be watching this and thinking, maybe I should do, what Diane's doing and do something down here. What I want you guys to understand is that it's just a different part of the yellow brick road that you're focusing on. And because Diane goes live 400 times a year and has a following already and has already higher ticket products that you sell, I guess, Diane, yes. It makes sense for Diane to start on the lower end, or to now build something on the lower end of the yellow brick road. For passion fighters who don't have, these higher ticket things and this full sort of yellow brick road built out, that's why we always recommend starting with the coaching, starting with the higher ticket thing. And that's why we tell you guys to sell, between $200 and $500 per client, not because it's bad to give away stuff for free, but if you start up there, then I forgot where the slides go after that. But if you start up there, you can, like Diane has done now, later you build stuff for the beginning that push people through the process. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think that is important. I offer a $1,500 program that I sold March 17th as COVID was hitting the US, and I sold it out, right? I have a high-end program. I have a middle program. I have some bite-sized free stuff, but I needed an app. The real need was, Diane, how do I draw a unicorn? Diane, how do I draw a pineapple? Diane, how do I draw a dump truck? Diane, how do I draw a dinosaur? And my inbox is filled with 150 messages a day of they just want to be my friend and draw with me. And so when I saw your stuff pop up, I immediately knew that it would fit that need. And again, this is, I'm 100% investing on my own. I am not planning to charge on this, but here's the thing that I am going to do. And I don't know if you want to hear this part of it, but like all the founding members, I'm going to offer them a founding member starter kit, right? So I'm going to sell journals and pens and other things to them. So I'm still going to sell off of the app. It's just going to be differently how I earn the income overall for it. But the thing that I'm trying to serve is the people who want to draw with me all day long. Where do they go find it easily? because it gets blocked on YouTube. It's hard to search in Instagram. I don't want to stick them in one of my courses because then there's a login and a password and all this other stuff that becomes a barrier to just falling in love with the brand. And that's what this app does, is it's helping me build the global brand even bigger.
That's awesome. You know, there's a couple of features that I don't know if you're actually yet aware of that I'm going to tell you about, Diane, because I think that you're going to get a lot of value from them. But actually, I'll explain why as well. And then I think anyone watching will also get value from it. With Passion, when you get your app, you also get the web version of the app. Have you seen that as well already, Diane?
Yes.
Yeah. And what's really cool about the web version of the app is that every lesson has its own URL. And so Diane's getting messages, how do I draw a pineapple? Diane, you can send a specific URL, or if someone's on your team, I don't know, can send a specific URL to that lesson, and then they're straight in that part of the app, right? And then they can navigate from there. They can go back out of there and into the big library or however you're structuring it. And what's really cool is you can, and I know that you've got a different approach here, Diane, but for some other people who are charging for the content in their app, you can put some content as free content that anyone can view, if they have a link to the lesson or find it in the app, then they can view it. And then when they get to like a certain lesson, you can lock it from there onwards, or you can lock whatever you want. Then they have to upgrade and pay for the next bit, right? So that's really, really cool that you have that ability to send those.
That's one thing I keep trying to think about is, do I just have a certain portion of the videos that are free and then the rest of them are a certain amount? Like I'm still, I mean, it's a big decision that I'm still wrestling with. And honestly, I'm going to bring it to the 1,000 people that have signed up for it. And I always present to my team sees me build everything from the ground up. I share my enthusiasm. I share everything. So that's going to be one of the questions is, you know, you guys understand, like, I've invested in all this. What should, like, here's an idea. Do we want just a certain part of these that are free and then it unlocks at a certain price point, or what is that? And the custom URLs, I'm right there with you, because I'm actually working on setting up my messenger bot to help me answer, how do I draw a unicorn trigger? Here's the link for that. How do I draw a unicorn trigger? How do I do this? And so like that's next week's work, is designing my whole messenger bot to help me respond to my inbox right now, because my inbox is literally blowing up.
Yeah. So that's interesting, because I have the same issue. As you can imagine, we're in a similar position in that our product has become much more important now than it was a month ago. A month ago, it was sort of a nice to have. And now it's like, oh, I need this. And so we're seeing things blow up as well, including the inboxes. And I'm curious, like, do you have you just mentioned team. Do you have a team? If so, like, what roles do people have?
Yeah, so I have a very small team. I have one team member who is kind of my virtual assistant and right hand. She does a lot of my code training with me. So she's what I call my producer. She's on all my calls with me. She also manages all my communications with my students. I have a video editor who does some of my editing. But I had to tell you, if you're nervous about editing, iMovie, your phone, like, go. Like, edit it. One take wonder, and then put that sucker up there. Nobody cares. Like, I just redid videos from 6 years ago where I'm like pregnant, I'm out of breath, but like I still put the video up there. People still got value out of it. Like, we overthink our videos too much. So I have the editor. I have a writer who works with me as well. I have my virtual assistant, and now I'm trying to put in the messenger bot to help answer a couple of things before I add a true Instagram person in there, because I like to be in my Instagram because that's where my people are, but I need help responding to certain things. So we're going to continue to be building out our team, but I personally like to keep it small. I have another business that I run. Like, I also work with my corporations. Like, I work with top executives, helping them do their strategies, helping them do their business models. So like, I mean, all this stuff is kind of fun, passion stuff, and the Doodle Institute is passion, but like, I still have a full business that I run with making videos for corporations, making e-learning platforms, all kinds of stuff. So I'm a busy gal.
Yeah, I can hear that. Again, I want to pause for a second to reflect on one of, I think, a very important learning, which is, I remember when I started producing videos and I would film it, and once I got one I was happy with, and that would be after 10 takes, I would watch it 50 times before putting it out there. And then gradually it reduces. You do less takes, you watch it less. And over time, at some point, I don't watch it at all, right? I make sure the beginning and end is trimmed, or if I'm editing it, because it's real quick, if it's something that needs editing, I just send it to our video editor and he does it. But the point is, there's thousands of videos all over the internet of me that I've never seen. And that's just something that comes with doing it. And I guess, Diane, if you're doing 400 lives a year, you're also not watching them back, right?
I delete most of them. Like if you're not there live, I'm sorry you missed it. And people be like, but what was that lesson where you really, I was like, sorry, it's gone. Like, I have stuff in my institute. I've saved a lot. Like, the institute has a flow, it has a process, go take those classes. But like, so much of my stuff is disposable to me, like, because I make so much video is disposable. And whenever it comes to what I love about your course is you do not waste a single word ever in a video. And I truly appreciate that you don't feel like you have to talk to me for an hour for me to understand the concept. Whenever I see like 3 minutes, I know it's going to be a great 3 minutes. But here's what's so funny. I get up at 5:30, I watch that 3-minute video, and I still go do like 45 minutes of work off that 3-minute video. Like, you don't have to do the heavy lifting in your video for me to get the value out of it. And I've learned that in my own videos. I believe in 3, 4, 5-minute bite-sized video, get to the point and go do the work. So I appreciate that about your program and how you created it for all of us.
Thank you. That means the world. And that's something that, like, I get frustrated in other programs or other education where I'm like, I understand. And I think people underestimate people's intelligence. It's like, trust people understand, give them a good analogy, be clear, move on. So that really means a lot to me personally. So a couple of things you mentioned that I would like to ask you about. You say you've got a lot going on, and I can see that you have many different things, and yet you're still taking on more projects and doing more. And I admire that. I'm an achiever personality type, so I'm like, yes, I'm right there with you. A lot of the sort of feedback or questions we get from experts is like, I don't have time for this, right? I've got X, Y, Z going on, and like, people aren't lying. I don't doubt it at all. But then when I speak to someone like you, I think, you know what? I bet you've got more going on, and yet you're going the extra mile and doing even more. So my question is really like, if people are out there thinking, I don't have the time, and they're sort of making excuses in their own mind, what advice would you give them to give them the kick that they actually really want, because they want to take the action, right? That's why they signed up.
This is where like my tough mother love may come in. Like, you don't have the time because you're not making it. You're not making the time. You're not making it a priority. I got up this morning, 5:30. I was in the basement. I did my half-hour workout. I was on a call. I did my 9:30 Instagram live. I did my 9 o'clock or my 10 o'clock lesson. I'm here with you. And then guess what? I'm taking a 3-hour break because I'm going to go downstairs and be with my 3 kids. And we've got lunches and homeschool and everything else like every other family. And then we live by routines and structure. So you have rhythms to your day. How are you using your rhythms? We don't watch a lot of TV. We create. I believe in the creative world, and it's what I teach. The more you lean into your creativity, the more your creativity will fuel you to do more things. So if you make a daily habit of getting up and going through your Passion Fighter course, it's only going to get more exciting and more momentum the more you wake up and do it. Because then you're like, I can't wait to do, like, I never really jumped ahead. I was like, I will watch the video, I will do this lesson, and I will check that off my list. And I believe in like 10 minutes a day towards what your biggest goal is will add up, and you will continue to get there. That's how I've made 6 online courses, a whole mastermind program, work. I mean, it only takes a few minutes here and there to really have it make, I mean, this is a perfect example. I didn't spend more than an hour a day on this to build the momentum to get it going. And now it's taking over. And at some point, I also have to think, how much do I put in this app? Because this app could go on and on and on and on and on. And that's where I have to decide, like, At some point are the first 5 lessons free, and then it changes from there, so that I'm at least feeding the person I want to the content, but then at some point I'm probably gonna have to stick a price tag on it. But I'm just gonna see it. I'm gonna let my audience tell me.
Fantastic. So I was just checking the questions that came in from experts, and funnily enough, I hadn't read them, now I have, and we've answered them already. So that's wonderful. So the people who ask questions, I hope you've already got your answer. But and I'm conscious of time because yours is very valuable. So I've taken so much value from this. I'm sure everyone watching has as well. I have a question. I have actually 2 last quick questions. One is on a personal side. I consider myself not creative, right? I spent 4 years as a professional drummer in a band. And so I was a musician, and people attach a certain like creative thing to that, but I was never the songwriter. I don't think I'm creative, and I'm terrible with like drawing and Pictionary, and I'm terrible with all that stuff. So my question, like my personal question, is like, how do I unlock some of my creativity that must be in there somewhere?
So I have a metaphor for that. So I believe that we live in a physical world, and the creative world lives above us, right? And whenever we put pen to paper, we pull down those ideas from the creative world, whether it's music, poetry, a novel, drawing, doodling. But it's a practice. You have to put pen to paper, whatever that looks like. And maybe it's put your drumstick to the drum or whatever. But like when you pour into that routine gets stronger and stronger. And then the creative world calls to you. It calls to you on a daily basis whenever you've opened up that creative portal to continue to go into it. And that's a lot of the workshops. I'm trying to look for one of my journals. Sorry, while I duck my head, that's very unprofessional on my interview. But I'll show you, like, these are my journals. Like, I draw every single day, and I share my journals online. And the thing is that when I'm drawing, looking for one in particular that I drew yesterday, I'm moving energy. I'm moving creative ideas. I'm moving thoughts. And it only takes like 10 to 20 minutes a day to draw out one of my little pages. But like the page, this is a memory for me. This is a feeling. This is something I was processing. This is something I was thinking about. But because I pour into that practice, when I go and I work with my executives, I'm able to bounce on their ideas. I'm able to bring innovation and creativity and productivity because I come from the creative world, which no one lives in right now. And so they're paying me to be creative. They're paying me to show up. And so what I try and encourage people is when you put pen to paper, you open your heart channel to ideas, insights, and inspirations. And it may be drawing out your business model. It may be drawing out a routine chart with your child. It may be designing your next big product. But like there's something magical that happens when you put pen to paper, and I teach you how to just like open up the visual vocabulary that's been locked off because so many people thought doodling wasn't important and doodling wasn't necessary. And I'm teaching you there is power in your doodling. There's so much power in it. Does that help?
It helps. It helps. It tells me that creativity is actually like the fundamental is in habits, because if I'm not putting pen to paper or the equivalent of on a daily basis, then inspiration doesn't just strike, is what I'm hearing, right? It's like it's intentional. That's really nice. The greatest
musicians, they still warm up, they still go through their routines, yeah. They still practice on their instrument. Like it's what is your creative instrument, right? Mm-hmm. And how are you leaning into that world? Because it's magical up there. And there's plenty of ideas. There's more ideas than anyone knows, but we just don't remember to go and play in that world.
Awesome. Thank you so much. My final question is, I ask everyone this: if you were walking down the street, Diane, and they say, "Oh, Diane, I saw you've done that passion thing. I was thinking of doing it, but I'm not really sure. I'm a bit skeptical." What would you say to that person?
I would say it is one of the most robust and simplified programs to actually get you to produce the app of your dreams.
I love it. Thank you so much. That was an absolute pleasure. I know everyone watching this will have got a ton of value. For those watching, I am sorry it wasn't live. I'm sure you would have had even more questions if it was live. We had some technical issues. We've used the platform a million times, and for whatever reason today, it wasn't playing ball. But Diane, thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to go and do some drawing.
I'll have an app that you can play with soon.
Awesome.